yourself. Celebrate yourselves. Okay, so while we wait for the Commissioner for Environment and Sustainability to come and give an official declaration of the meeting open, please let's make welcome the Executive Director of Connected Advocacy for his welcome address. Okay, so let's just celebrate him as he comes forward for his welcome address. So while we wait for the Commissioner to come for declaration of the official opening of the meeting. So please, let's make welcome our very own. Let's make welcome our very own Mr. Israel. Please celebrate him. Thank you very much for welcome, sir.
Very good morning to you all. I want to sincerely appreciate every one of you on behalf of the management and board of Connected Advocacy for Empowerment and Youth Development Initiative. We want to especially welcome our Honorable Commissioner here and Commissioner representative from the Ministry of Energy Regulatory Commission, civil society organizations that are here present, youth from various communities that are also here present, young climate activists that are also here. We want to say welcome and thank you for joining us in celebrating the International Youth Day 2022. This is a one-day environmental event to commemorate International Youth Day, which is part of the United Nations recommendations under the Paris Agreement for individuals to safeguard the health, the environment, and reducing greenhouse emissions. This global warming that are currently ravaging our ecosystem, our commitment to actions, and the need for young people not to be excluded in climate justice and advocacy. The policy dialogue for intergenerational solidarity on climate change is focusing on the theme developing youth leadership capacity for sustainable environmental governance through local smart climate action. This call is for stakeholders engagement and where government and non-stakeholders, non-state actors are required to collectively strategize to address environmental issues, and it's imperative to invest in youth leadership capacity development for climate action in industry. The urgent need to address environmental issues and the inadequate capacity gap for young persons in mitigating climate actions or developing strategies to tackle climate change right here in Edo is very little. So for us to tackle this issue, there is need for collaborative effort, synergy, and knowledge exchange. Edo State, like every other state in Nigeria, is currently threatened by climate change, with growing evidence resulting into extreme temperature that results to excessive heat, decline in annual rainfall, floods, etc. The unpredictable weather conditions, air pollution, energy poverty, frequent flow of incidents that are led to poverty, that are widening the poverty gaps in the country, now undermining the state contribution to both local and national development, including the well-being of our people. This event is aimed at bringing together young people, experts from the industry, both private and government, youth groups, civil society organizations, as well as the Ministry of Environment, the SDGs office, and other relevant stakeholders to discuss the vulnerability of the state in relation to the threat in environmental issues and balancing up by developing realistic mitigating action plan for young people that best suit their state. This importantly developing a clear action point that will determine youth sector contribution to the greenhouse emission reduction and the domestication of the national determined contributions, which is the NDCs, towards implementing the barrier agreement, create jobs for youth in Edo State as part of our International Day celebration demands to the Executive Governor of Edo State and its leadership team. And the theory of change that we are expected to see as we continue today is that if government, young people, non-state actors collaborate by putting together a realistic strategy to address climate change, investment in youth development, and other environmental issues, the impact of climate change can be addressed. And if this is done, the following objectives can be achieved: to improve knowledge on the issues that relates to climate impact, to share experience and best practices in mitigating climate change, to co-host strategic mitigation, adaptive reforms to tackle the change like the air pollution impact, etc. To develop action plan highlighting key roles, responsibility of government, non-state actors, youth to prevent the mitigative climate change and other environmental crises. To develop community-based approach for young people mitigating climate crisis, adapting circular economy for plastic waste reuse and renewable energy innovation, and to also promote public-private partnership and increase networking among partners, young people actually being involved. And it is more often than not that young people tackle the issue and to be able to make their own contribution towards climate action. Capacity building needs to be enhanced. So this gap is what we want to fill. This gap is what we want to work with the Ministry of Environment and Sustainability to also fill with other relevant stakeholders who are here present. We don't want to leave the young people who are the game changer, who have the energy, who have the strength, who have the digital skills, but they lack the capacity to actually engage. So part of what we're going to be seeing here today is issue-based engagement that will build capacity and also spur young people to begin to take actions. And these actions that will lead towards reducing greenhouse emissions and also reducing waste what we need to achieve. So, what are the key outcomes we want to take out from here today? We want an action plan highlighting key roles, responsibility, both government, non-state actors, youth in mitigating climate change and other environmental crises. We say it's not my fault or not concerning me, I'm not involved. It all concerns us. It's all about us. And it's not because of us, who else? So we want to improve citizen participation, both those in academia and other stakeholders in addressing climate change and other environmental crises. I want to strengthen the leadership capacity of youth in environmental governance, policies on climate change and other environmental issues. Also create a wide knowledge of specific climate change and other environmental issues being experienced and how young people can be part of the fight against climate change in the state. Developing agroecology pathway for youth, climate smart solutions, thereby reducing young people to see other means which are not legitimate involved, having a future that they could not future in. So this we are saying, young people need to come on board. What are the sustainability plans we want to see? We want to see support for grassroots youth leadership, capacity building in climate action. We want to see funding for youth. We want to see funding for youth on climate smart solutions, policies and laws that address climate change and other environmental issues. We want to enhance our continuous collaboration between the non-state actors and the government on strategic, actionable mitigating plans for young people to tackle climate. So there is need for what we call the co-creation initiative. No one can do it all. The government needs us, we need those in government. So together we can actually make that difference that we all crave to achieve. So supporting efforts in implementing climate change participation, community participation, ownership of environmental protection policies, ownership in environmental participation and environmental protection strategies, and also leaving no one behind in environmental issues, because the future is in our environment and we must protect it. Thank you very much. Thank you. So today, those three sessions are methodologies for participation, which we're going to see paper presentation, panel discussion, groups, poetry, and other exhibitions. And with this, I want to say thank you very much for finding out time to be part of us. And we promise that your time invested here today will produce a million things for you. Once again, thank you and God bless you.
It's still there.
Okay, thank you very much. Please let's put our hands together once again to celebrate the Executive Director Connected Advocacy for that amazing and wonderful speech. Thank you very much for the welcome address, and this is really clear to us that as youths, as citizens of our own nation, we all owe our country the responsibility to put our hands together and give ourselves a safe environment. That we are all part of the work, so we need to look at addressing climate change and others. And we're also marking the International Youth Day. So please put your hands together once again and celebrate our very own Executive Director. Thank you very much for that amazing and wonderful session. Okay, right about now, we're going to be making welcome the General Manager of the Edo State Waste Management Board is not here in person, but we have a representative here with us that will be coming to give us a goodwill message. So please, a round of applause for Mr. Osage Idiage. Please let's celebrate him as he comes forward to present the goodwill message, representing the JF Ministry of Environment and Edo State Waste Management Board. Please let's celebrate him as he comes forward to the podium. Please put your hands together for him. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody. I'd like to say it's a great pleasure being in your midst this morning. I'm actually standing in for the General Manager of the Waste Management Board. So I would like to first and foremost congratulate the organizers of this program and really applaud you for the efforts you are making towards tackling the issues of climate change. And I know that the theme of the program is International Youth Policy Dialogue for Intergenerational Solidarity on Climate Change in Edo State. All right, it's such an apt one because we are currently battling the problems, or rather challenges, of climate change. As you all know, that there's no doubt really that the survival of the human race today depends on the survival of the other components of the environment. You understand? And of course, we are part of the environment as a biosphere. We relate virtually all other components of the physical environment, including the hydrosphere, the lithosphere, the atmosphere, including the troposphere, the one going beyond us, the stratosphere, the ionosphere, and the exosphere. And of course, the cryosphere too. Because if anything happens to any part of these components, we're in problem. That's the truth. Most of us may not have heard of the cryosphere. That is the ice cap of part of the environment. As hidden as that is, by the time activities which result to global warming, increases the temperature of the earth, it will also affect the cryosphere. And once there's a melting of the cryosphere, you're going to have rise in the sea level. You're going to have flooding. You're going to have this twin brother erosion. These are all problems, that are working with climate change. So it's such an important one. And every activity we're involved in regarding the harmful practices to the environment, in quotes, all contribute toward climate change. And from the waste management sector, for instance, do you know that any act of insanitary waste disposal will ultimately affect the climate? That is the truth. You dispose, indiscriminately, waste indiscriminately into the drain, for instance, it results in blockage of the drain, and that can result in flooding. Flooding can lead to salinization. Flooding can lead to eutrophication. All these ones have a way of, causing climate change. That is the truth. For instance, illicit bush burning, you know that releases these gaseous emissions that go there, form a thick blankets within the atmosphere, troposphere, part of the atmosphere. These ones again can trap the heat coming from the solar parks. You understand that eventually it is trapped, further trapped by the blanket of gases within that region, which begins to emit, radiate the heat back to us, resulting in global warming. Now, it's not a teaching time now anyway, to come from the academics anyway. I don't intend teaching here, but I just want to titillate our mind towards this issue of climate change. Do you understand? So I believe that the solution or the key to resolving climate change issues still lies on massive sensitization and advocacy. It's very important because people are not aware. That is the truth. I see people sometimes maybe driving along the streets of Benin, even Ring Road. They'll just wind down and throw away waste, just like that. They don't anyhow, not knowing the ultimate effects or impacts such acts will have on the environment. If they know, they will not do that. You understand? So we need to really inculcate, the knowledge and the impact such acts can have on the environment to them. And I want to boldly recommend here that there is an urgent need for us to introduce subjects, bordering on climate change, climate change, because that's what we are dealing with today now, in both primary and post-primary school curriculum. It's very important, so that such subjects or courses can be taught from the formative stage of life. So as they grow, it becomes part and parcel of them. How about communicating? All right, so I don't want to go too far in this. Once again, I want to thank you for raising this occasion. I believe that by the time we are living here, we would have all been well informed on the problems and the way out of climate change. Thank you so much. Once again, I congratulate you for organizing this program today. Thank you so very much.
Wow, thank you. Please let's celebrate Mr. Saige, representing the General Manager, Edo State Waste Management Board. Please let's celebrate him once again for that good message. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate that. And right about now, we're going to be making welcome another person, and it's going to be our first speaker for today. So this is Babawale Obayanju, the co-host, tell that story. Please let's make welcome Mr. Babawale for the presentation. Please let's celebrate him and come forward. Thank you very much, sir.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. No, sir. Good morning, everybody. We are together. They are all young people here, right? Even those who are in their 50s or we are all young people. This morning I want to say thank you for coming and thank you Connected Advocacy for inviting me to join this conversation this morning. Without wasting further time, I guess we all know one of the biggest threats befalling us as mankind today. That stuff is what our keynote speaker just mentioned, issue of climate change. Some still believe it's a hoax and it's not real. But for us in Africa in particular, for us in Nigeria, it is no longer news. It is a reality that is already with us. For those who are above 50 in this room, I would like to ask, is the weather condition the same as when you were 10 years old? The food that you eat, is it the same as the time you used to eat when you were 10 years old? No. Is the situation in the country the same as you were when you were 10 years old? The population, are they the same as when you were 10 years old? So things have gradually taken a different tone in recent times. And it's because of our activities as humans. So today we're going to be looking at, I call it from straight line to circle. And you're wondering what is this about. So let's go into the discussion today. These things you are seeing here, what do you think this is? What's this picture here? The map of the world. And if you look closely at it, you see dots everywhere, right? And you see lines connecting those dots. So I want us to understand that you are here in Benin City, Edo State, Nigeria. Whatever you do as a person in Benin City, Edo State, Nigeria, has the capacity and the ability to affect the man right here. Whatever this man, oh, I touched the screen. I forgot this touch screen. Sorry, guys. Whatever this man right here, whatever this man right here does will also impact on us in Edo State. Last year, last 2 years, and even the year when Ebola came, we saw how interconnected the world is by disease. COVID showed us in different lights that we are all indeed in a small space. We are all connected. So for us to understand the issue befalling us, our activities as individuals needs to be reconsidered. We are connected by currency. Today Nigeria is in a dilemma because the dollar is dancing between 500, 600, 700. Why is that so? There is a business going on between Nigeria and the United States. There's a business going on between Nigeria and Europe, and between Nigeria and Asia and other parts of the world. We are connected by the atmosphere. He just mentioned that. If you burn something in Benin, you say you don't burn a bit, the smoke don't go up. You have forgotten about the smoke. But the wind comes, transports that gas that they have released into the atmosphere, and finally it finds its way around. And the way nature works, what goes around comes around. So we must have this understanding when we are taking action. So called just a Yoruba word for connected or connection. So we must understand first that everything we do is connected to all of us in the world. So I'm going to play a video shortly for us to see what I'm going to be talking about. There are two models of economic principles that operate in our world. One is the one that is currently going on, and one is the one we are trying to transit to or return back to. The first is the linear economy, and the second is the circular economy. We're going to be looking at these two discussions today, but I want to play this video here for us first, so we get to see and understand graphically what this linear economy is and what the circular economy is. You can join me from there? Okay. Cool. Morning. please. Sit down. So let's take a look at the screen and see what's happening there. Let's stop this and I'll come back to it. Can you guys understand it without the sound? What? It's going to eat into our time.
We can create safe and compostable materials that living systems have been around for a few billion years and will be around for many more. In the living world, there's no landfill. Instead, materials become. One species' waste is another's food, energy is provided by the sun, things grow, then die, and nutrients return to the soil safely. And it works. Yet as humans, we've adopted a linear approach. We take, we make, and we dispose. A new phone comes out, so we ditch the old one. Our washing machine packs up, so we buy another. Each time we do this, we're eating into a finite supply of resources and often producing toxic waste. It simply can't work long term. So what can? If we accept that the living world's cyclical model works, can we change our way of thinking so that we too operate a circular economy? Let's start with the biological cycle. How can our waste build capital rather than reduce it? By rethinking and redesigning products and components and the packaging they come in, we can create safe and compostable materials that help grow more stuff. As they say in the movies, no resources have been lost in the making of this material. So what about the washing machines, mobile phones, fridges? We know they don't biodegrade. Here, we're talking about another sort of rethink, a way to cycle valuable metals, polymers and alloys so they maintain their quality and continue to be useful beyond the shelf life of individual products. What if the goods of today became the resources of tomorrow? It makes commercial sense. Instead of the throwaway and replace culture we become used to, we'd adopt a return and renew one, where products and components are designed to be disassembled and regenerated. One solution may be to rethink the way we view ownership.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, we're going to continue, but before we move on, we have important personalities in our midst, and please let's recognize the presence of the Honorable Commissioner of Edo State's Environment, Ministry of Environment. Please let's celebrate our own very Commissioner of Ministry of Environment, Engineer Jonathan Olawale. He's youth-friendly, a very amazing person. He was once with Radio Nigeria, and he has been a very amazing person. Please let's celebrate him once again. Thank you very much for joining us. Yes. And we also have with us the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Lucky Wasa. Please let's celebrate him as well. Thank you for coming. Thank you very much. And with us also the General Manager, Edo State Waste Management Board. Please celebrate him too. That's Mr. Charles Mariape. Thank you very much. So you're very much welcome. Thank you for joining us. So thank you.
I'll protest first. Taking 3 minutes of my time, so I'll add 3 more minutes. Thank you very much. Let's start from there. Welcome to very tough
Okay. All right, thank you so much for your time. Would like to invite the Honorable Commissioner for Environment and Sustainability, Engineer Jonathan Awani, for his welcome address.
Good morning, my youngest permanent secretary, very dynamic, Mr. Lotu Wasa. Good morning, the always ready and young General Manager of Waste Management Board, Electricity Management Board, Mr. Charles Mariabe. I want to specifically greet for myself and on behalf of the ministry, our partner for today, the Connected Advocacy. Thank you all for bringing this to Edo State, and thank you for bringing it to the Ministry of Environment and Sustainability. And permit me to now stand for all established, already established protocols. Before I go to the long speech, actually, I'm not good at long speeches, I'm written one of that. I want to say that it's not a coincidence that the youth are engaging in solidarity to protect, preserve our environment for ourselves, and it's happening in collaboration with the Ministry of Environment and the Waste Management Board, where you have the youthful representatives. I say that because I keep reminding myself and my colleagues that we represent youth. I know that some of you will be surprised to see a young man standing as the Commissioner for Environment and Sustainability here in Edo State. That's to tell you that the youth must now wake up, just as Chris Daniel is calling all of us to wake up, but not to collect money, but to be responsible for the environment, to be responsible for policy, to be responsible for politics. So I say again, wake up our youth. Having said that, I want to say that I'm particularly very pleased to be here with you as young men and women on this international solidarity against the climate change. Let me say that I want to say it very loud. Climate change is not one of those theoretical subjects that we have in schools. It's not like the X we all look for from GSS 1 to God knows where level we drop looking for X. We did not find it. And then you start working in the bank, calculating money, and you ask yourself, why am I not looking for the X? But climate change is real, it's practical, it's affecting you and I. And if you want me to demonstrate it, I will put up all the bases in this hall. We will stay here in the next 10 minutes and tell me how you feel. That'll tell you that if I seize the oxygen we are all using here in this room for some minutes, we will not be having a better life. So if that is happening just within this space, imagine what will happen in our larger space if we cannot get good oxygen to breathe in, just because the carbon dioxide have override the oxygen presence in the atmosphere. I was speaking with a friend. I said, look, I have come to see that life is about balance. And that is what the story of Akalan's scale or acidity scale taught us in physics or mathematics or chemistry. That if it deflects to on the other side is basic or alkaline. And if you go to the other side, it becomes what? Acidic. But what are you supposed to do? At every point in time, make sure you maintain what? Balance. That is why even in our head, if your blood pressure is high, problem. If it is low, a bigger problem. What are you supposed to do? Maintain it. So please, the issue of climate change, excessive heat, waves, that, greenhouse gases, they have become more extreme today than compared to 1960. And the people that are going to be affected are you and I, because we are the people today that will be tomorrow. Our forefathers lived here and they've all gone. We will also live and will live here for our children yet born. If we continue the way we are doing things, the way our forefathers used to do things that got us to where we are today, and we will not have a better environment to live for our children. Our forefathers found themselves going inside the forest, plugging the trees, using them for cooking. They go around doing all sorts of things like that. Planting new ones. And that is why we now have today a place that's supposed to be a forest. They are not as good as virgin land, no trees to absorb the carbon dioxide. And then because of that, we now have a lot of heat, a lot of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere, and oxygen is low, and we need to do something about it. We have a lot of natural energy generating sources, burning of coal, burning of fossil fuel. Nobody was thinking like we are thinking today about renewable energies, alternative source of energy, and today we have found ourselves in a place that is no longer conducive for you and I. Let me say that the young people must now be ready to play an important role to protect the environment for themselves and for their future yet unborn. We must have a clear need, and the need is clear for us, but we must keep showing that the young people can play a very important role to face these challenges that is facing mankind. The Ministry of Environment and Sustainability, in collaboration with our host today, the Connected Advocacy, is ready and prepared to raise the ambition and action of youth to scale up the fight against climate change and push for ecosystem restoration across the state and Nigeria in general. That is why we are extending this friendship, and we love it, and we are encouraging everyone to keep into it. There is no need for youth leaders to be given seats at the back of religious national and international conferences to make contributions on bonding issues while away from camera. It's also very important, and it is a wise decision that the youth must add their voices and interest to whatever that is happening, because it's going to affect them, it's going to affect their generation. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with a step. The following points should be taken into consideration by everyone present here today. And these are very important questions that we want to ask you, and we believe that you should sincerely find answers to them. Let me ask, when last have you discarded your waste appropriately? But when we say appropriately, what do we mean? As a youth, when have you find yourself with an empty bottle of plastic in your hand, because you have not found the right place to dispose it, you still held on to it? Do you just throw it away like every other person? Or like my father's fathers? Remember, when you discard that empty can like that, what happened? It found its way to the drainage system. And when that is going to the drainage, what happened? It blocked our drain. And when our drain is blocked, what happened? There is erosion. And then when there is erosion, there is watershed. And when there is watershed, what happened? I can go on and on. So that question is for you to sincerely answer and ask yourself, how far have I been an advocacy for the environment? That's why I love the partners, connected advocacy. You yourself, individually, in your homes, in your schools, in your office, should be an advocate. You should see someone holding a pure water sachet, which were not there during our forefathers. Do you understand that? The pure water were not there. But today we have them. And when you finish drinking it, and you don't feel like, oh, it's finished, poor, you are destroying the environment. How long have you told yourself, I need to properly put it inside the waste bin so that it can be taken care of? When did you visit your drains? I talk about sitting up of drains because of our action. Now that the drains are seated up, when last did you visit these drains in your workplace or your homes? I grew up from a village. Folk are here in those states. Once there is, anytime we come outside, we don't even have proper constructed drains. The drains we did was man-made ones. We use shovel, cutlass, and hoes to do drains for ourselves so that the water can find their way. So once you do your own in front of your house, the next man has no option. He will do his own because I do my own. The water just find their way to their house. Immediately the other one will come out, do it. Before you know it, you are channeling the water to the bush. And everybody continue to deceive their home, and the water find its natural way out. But today, even when the government have made every effort to construct drains in front of your house, you can't even come out to disinfect as an exercise. I mean, most of us are not even doing exercise. You wake up in the morning, you go out. Why not on Saturday morning, just come out with your shovel, go outside there, just say, I will disinfect this part of this drain today, as just to exercise so that I can sweat. You are helping the environment, you are helping yourself. But do we do this? The answer is left for you to answer. When else have you taken up to clean your surroundings in your home? We used to sweep, we used to do all things like that, but do we do them today? Most people don't do it. In fact, the only reason women used to recommend wives for their children abroad is that woman, that lady, she can sweep their father's house very well. But today, that lady is beautiful, she's well spoken, she's well dressed. That is all of that. Let me not bore you with things like that. But I ask again, when last have you thought of using mass transit or working in order to reduce your carbon footprint? You don't know how that can help you. I'm very happy that this video was showing us what happened in our time. I can go on and on, but we all know that every activity around us is becoming difficult to carry out due to certain happenings in our society. But let us try to do the little we can. And this will collectively bring about a greater change in our state and in the country at large. In as much as we have the required talent that are present here today, but the will is what I will ask you. You must wake up to be an advocate of the environment on climate change so that together we can build a sustained environment that is healthy for you, myself, the state, and our future. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you to our Commissioner. Please let's put our hands together for him again. Thank you very much. So, Mr. Babawale will continue his presentation. So thank you.
Now that we are back to ourselves, we heard the message, right? But we're going to continue to get clarity and understanding on these issues. The people was trying to explain to us what a linear economy is and what a circular economy should be and how important it is for us. So I'm going to be looking at taking a closer look at the linear economy, which is currently the model in our world today. We saw that it's a model that takes, makes, and wastes, right? We saw that in the video. Are we together? Are we looking outside? So let's go. Can you shut that door for me, please? Thank you. So the linear economy talks about the taking, making, and wasting. And if we remember very well, there's a model that used to be in place before this take, make, and waste came on board. Like I was asking those who are cross 50, those who are cross 40, those who are cross 30, there's a model you saw when you were growing up. And that model was never wasteful. Do we agree?
Yes.
How many of us remember the TV that was in your sitting room? How many years did you use it? Some of those televisions in those big boxes are still in your grandfather's house today, still working. Some SMC fan that you have in your sitting room or your grandfather's house are still rolling till today. Some stove that you had at that time are still working till today. Why? What has changed? But today you buy an LG TV, they will tell you to be short the screen. Why would I buy a television? and also ensure the screen. Because there's a model in place. A model that takes, makes, and wastes. We saw the video how washing machine and electronics are being dumped here and there. It is a system that is operational today. So linear economy talks about an economy that releases about 100 billion tons of materials into the global economy yearly. All these figures might sound like big, but when you convert these million tons or billion tons into metrics that we understand, you know how enormous. They say about 100 billion tons is almost the exact weight size of the current number of people in the world. So think about it. All of us in this room, everybody in Nigeria, everybody in West Africa, everybody in Africa, in Asia, in America, in North America, in South America, in Europe, Antarctica, put together all our weight, all the humans that exist on planet Earth, our weight size is equivalent to the amount of resource that we tap on the Earth yearly. Over 100 billion tons. And the other sad part of this is just only 8.6% of that resource that's removed is what we recycle. So if we continue on this trajectory, on this pathway, what becomes of the children that will be after us 50 years down the line? Most of the resources that we use to produce, to take, to make, and to waste are finite resources. They are not renewable. So the more we use them, and we're not recycling them, the more we are creating a space that we will not be able to live in coming 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the line. There is a term that the Oyinbos have put in place. They call it planned obsolescence. Simple English. If I buy this phone and I use this phone for 2 years, have you observed that after 2 years, 2.5 years, the buttons begin to fall by itself? Have you observed that? Have you observed that the screen, the body parts, begin to disintegrate by itself? It is what we call planned obsolescence. The year life of devices these days have been reduced. They make them so that you have to come back and buy another one. But this was not the case with Nokia 3310. How many people buy? How many people buy? I used to stone you and pick it back, couple it again, and you walk. But the phones we have today and Ubeba can never be compared. Why? Weibo has called this term planned obsolescence. It's a term that the producers who only think about profits have engaged in at the detriment of humans and Mother Earth. This linear economy has also made it possible for us to be losing 90% of our biodiversity and water yearly. 90% of our biodiversity is going extinct. There are some monkeys you can't find anymore. There are some snakes you can't find anymore. When was the last time you saw a butterfly? Have you ever stopped to ask? When was the last time? When we were growing up, we had several colors of butterflies. The yellow, the green, the black, the white, the pink, the red. We have different colors of butterflies. But where are they today? Our cuckoo that we used to have around the house, that plays around the house, that scratches the ground, where are those chickens today? Have you stopped to ask? Canaries that used to whistle in the morning, close to your window, on your way to school, on your way to work, you hear them whistling around your houses. Where are those birds today? Even the suku that we talk about, we are afraid of, the one that has big eyes. How many times do you hear the owl make those howling sounds again? When was the last time you saw a vulture? These are questions that we need to sit down and begin to ask ourselves. Our activities are leading to the extinction of many of these. In South Africa, for example, at least there are enormous amount of water that they have around them. They are already experiencing water shortage. You might say they have the sea around them. The Indian Ocean is close to them. The Atlantic Ocean is close to them. Why are they still having water shortage? They are having water shortage because of the amount of waste that we release into the atmosphere. Water shortage is becoming a problem. And if we continue on this pathway, Nigeria is not far from it. In states like Bayelsa, in states like Rivers, in states like Mori, there's a level you drill a borehole to, and what you are going to meet is polluted water. So we need to always remember that our activities has a connection between every one of us and everything on planet Earth. And this linear economy also increases the amount of waste that is generated. So let's take a look at the circular economy. The circular economy being pushed forward to us, or the model being pushed forward to us, is a model of production and consumption that involves sharing, leasing, reusing, repairing, refurbishing, recycling. I want to ask, are these models new to some people that live on planet Earth? Is it familiar to you? Don't you think this was the model that was existing in Africa before we started copying the West? Sit down and think about it. When we are growing up, we pick cassava, they keep the peels to make elubo. They keep the peels of banana, of plantain, for reuse. Even the water that we produce at home, there's a way we recycle it. Food that we are eating, there's a way we recycle it. Things don't, if things go bad, there's an shop by the corner at the house and you take your TV to repairs it. Am I correct? Yes. But what is the case today? You buy an equipment, it goes bad, you throw it away. You buy another one. We have barely lost a skill set because of the changes that we have embraced. The circular economy is bringing us back to the place where Africa was before Africa started copying the other part of the world. Now the other part of the world is coming back to what Africa left behind to go and embrace what we are embracing. But it's something that we should begin to think back and look inward and embrace. Because this pattern of economy would help us in a large extent to combat climate change. In order the circular economy, the extension of the life cycle of products is key, is primary. Because in this system, we are not encouraged to use, to make, or to take, to make and waste. Instead, we are encouraged to take, make, and reuse. Then make again, and reuse. Then make again, and reuse, till it becomes completely, we are able to make use of the product. In a circular economy, waste is reduced to the barest minimum. Natural systems are restored. The current overconsumption pattern that exists in our world is completely or almost taken off in the circular economy. I'm just giving us reasons why we need to start to think about it, read about it, and begin to embrace the circular economy. And the circular economy also respects planetary boundaries and global justice. Because right now, the Earth, our activities as humans, is already on the pathway to destroy planet Earth. Because right now, scientists have said that if we continue on this pathway, once the temperature increase goes beyond 1.5 degrees, states like Port Harcourt, states like Edo, states like Lagos, states like Bayelsa are on the verge of being submerged underwater. Why? Because the sea level is already rising. And this that we're talking about is not history anymore. We have heard of floods taking over people's homes, businesses. We saw one in 2012 that almost rendered this country useless for months because the dam was open and was open during the rains. But aside that, we have been seeing this recurring pattern happening around us. The floods are on the increase. And we are not asking ourselves why. But the circular economy is one model that will help us address this. So why circular economy? It has the potential to reduce or address 45% of the global greenhouse gas emission. If we learn to reuse stuff, we can reduce the amount of waste we generate and the amount of greenhouse gas released into the atmosphere. It makes for better use of this our finite resource that we have. By the time we begin to recycle, begin to reuse, there is the tendency to reduce the amount of this finite resource that we extract. It also creates room for human health and biodiversity to be protected. I think you see that with me. They're taking much of my time. Let me just start from 5 minutes, okay? So it boosts economy also. So we need to also think about how we should embrace the green economy. So how should this happen? It cannot happen overnight. It has to be a systemic approach. And that is why we are calling on young people in this room to begin to wear their thinking caps on how best to tackle this issue, because whatever affects us on a different scale, on a different level. How this thing impacts on the man in America is different from the man in Nigeria. Our situations are not the same. Some people have this impact more than others. The man in the north, for example, is experiencing desertification and drought, whereas we down south, we are experiencing flooding and excess rainfall. These impacts are not the same across board. So we need to start thinking about what are the systemic approaches that we require to make this circular economic transformation to begin to happen. I've said already, we need to keep the temperature of planet Earth below 1.5 degrees. And this will involve a lot of mental work. The other issue that we need to consider when talking about moving from the linear economy to the circular economy is the issue of fair share. We talk about climate change or climate justice without addressing the issue of fair share. You might ask me, what is fair share? For example, as it is currently, those who have developed, the ones we call the developed world, have used the resources from Africa to develop their climate. And in doing so, they release a lot of greenhouse gas into the atmosphere. But those down here in Africa, in part of the small island nations, our consumption, our extraction, our activities compared to those in the West, they are not on the same level. So our own share of this action cannot be on the same level. We have to think about how to make this transition just for us here and those over there. You cannot be making the same demand and saying, stop extracting for oil or extracting for gas, and you are coming to Africa and saying, plant trees. On our land that already we have exploited and overexploited, I mean our people, we lost our livelihoods, lost our resources, and now you're saying we should also go ahead and give the land to plant trees on our forest land. This can work. We should start thinking about how to make this transition just and fair. So the key sectors in the circular economy that we need to consider, I'll talk about 3 or 4 of them: food, plastics, and electricity. Food is important because we need to consider what we eat. The same way as who we eat. What we eat makes us or defines who we are. The food system is fundamental to our health, it's fundamental to our environment, it's fundamental to our society and to our economy. But this global food system that we have currently running today is a wasteful one. When we produce more than we require, we can't transport them, we can't eat them, we can't sell them, and we leave them to rot. This system needs to be reviewed. So in this model of creating a system where we reuse, recycle, we share, we need to think about how we are engaging our food production, our production systems. We must change what we grow and how we grow it. On this chart here, it's been said that industrialized agriculture has used only 75% of the food coming from industrial agriculture, used only 12 plants and 5 animals species, amazing billions of plants and animal species that we have around us. And when I put that again, really, the items listed here: sugar, maize, rice, wheat, potato, soya beans, cassava, tomato, banana, onion, apple, grapes. These are the major foods eaten across the world. And these are what the industrial agriculturalists concentrate on all over. But are these the only food we have in the world? If some of us have watched, or you watch this DSTV food channel, you'll be amazed to see the amount of things that we look over, or pass over, that people eat. So it's time we begin to rethink. Do we only depend on this to survive as humans, as people living on planet Earth? So we need to reclaim or rethink our food system. We need to embrace the term or the system called agroecology, which is not new to us in Africa. It is what we were taught in agriculture while we were in secondary school, primary school. It's what our forefathers taught us for those who went to farm. It's a system that uses less of external inputs to grow our food. It's a system that knows how to manage our land resource. A system that knows when and where to stop cultivating a plot of land so that it can recoup itself and we can get more food. So this system we need to embrace. I guess somebody will talk about that in more details later on during the course of this meeting. The other issue is textile. Textile is also becoming a problem. Textile mill in Benin was established many years ago so that we'll be able to produce clothing from cotton in Benin City and those states and use it for our growth as a country and for the export market later on. But what are we seeing today? Things have changed. There is a space where now people crave for the latest attire, even if they don't need it. You have 10 parties, you have 10 ashrabi that you wear only once and you don't use again. We need to start thinking and having a rethink about how we embrace trends and fashion. When we think about this whole process, we realize that most of the time we get resources that we don't need and we get clothes that we don't need. So there needs to be a rethink of this process. The statistics says that almost 100 billion cubic meters of water is used to produce the textile that we use on a yearly basis, which is equivalent to 4% of the global fresh water in the world. So do we actually need as much clothes as this that we are using today? Is something for us to think. So whenever you are thinking of buying a particular fabric or textile, think about the amount of water, the amount of land that's required, the fossil fuel that we use to produce that cloth that me and you would wear. So if you know it's going to impact on somebody living in Bangladesh, or somebody living in China, or somebody living in Kaduna, you have to rethink about what. So we have to be thinking holistically whenever we are making decisions. How beautiful is this picture? Where is this? No, where is this? Which place is this? This is Benin City, Edo State. This is Benin City, Edo State, Nigeria. This is one of the boats that we pride ourselves in as one of our heritage sites in Edo. Filled with what? What can you see there? Plastic! Plastic! Pure water, bottled water, red cup, blue cup, white cup. This one is there. This is just one of the boats. One. This is Edo State, Benin City. Why did I bring this picture out? So it's not far from us. Like I said, whatever we do here has a way of connecting the dots to everybody. How do you use plastic? Growing up, I know we used to have water bottles. Growing up, I know you're going to the market, you go with a market bag. In that market bag, you have a 4-liter custard bucket from the custard you bought during the month. Or maybe like 2 years or 3 years ago. You take that custard bucket to the market. You buy your tomato, you put in the custard bucket. You buy pepper, put in the custard bucket. You buy onion, put in the custard bucket. Take it to the blending machine, they blend it for you. You take it home. The bags you used yesterday is in the market bag. I want to buy fish. They give me the fish in carton. That is to wrap the fish. I put it in that nylon bag. Why has this changed? We want to be fashionable. We want to be trendy. On average, if a woman or a man goes to the market twice a week, it comes back home with nothing less than 20 pieces of cellophane or nylon bags. Nothing less than that. So in a week, 20. Another week, 20. And a month, 80. One person, one household. That is just for the market. You go to the supermarket, you ask them, put up for leather. You buy bread, leather. You buy granite, leather. You buy biscuit, leather. Are you thinking about this picture when you are buying those things? So it's time to start to think about everything holistically when we are taking action. I remember all my neighbors used to go and buy that car. He brings a fine, fancy glass bowl. You take it to the place, you buy that car, put it in that bowl, and they bring it back for you. Or we are going to buy a Mabaya Abala opposite my house. You take a cooler, and go to Mabaya Abala, and you buy a Abala in that cooler. What has changed? Now you go to a place you are demanding for, put it in takeaway pack, takeaway pack, takeaway pack. These things have a way of affecting. I want to start thinking. So the circular economy are part of the production system. It also involves us with thinking from our minds, redefining how we think. Plastics are everywhere. It's becoming seemingly like it's indispensable, but the reality of it is the earlier we start stopping the use of plastic, single-use plastic, the better for us. Over 300 million tons of plastic are produced every year, and 14 million tons of this plastic end up in the ocean. It starts from the gutter, it flows to the river, it transforms to water, down to the Atlantic. The Atlantic is moves on and comes back to us. Now what we are having in the ocean, fishes are beginning to take in these plastics, and it's already the shocking part of it. Plastic don't degrade, but plastic photodegrade. They photodegrade into what we now call microplastics. That these fish, because of the smell, begin to eat them, and we buy this fish and we eat it. So by the time you do an analysis of the amount of microplastic in our system, you'll be amazed. So there's need for us to begin to think about how we use plastics. It takes about 20 to 500 years for different grades of plastic to degrade. Think about it. When you are using a plastic bag, when you are demanding a plastic bag, how many years are you going to keep that plastic? There are plastic that under that you don't the soil or put it there. 10 years after, go back there, you will see it alive and well, waiting for you to pick it up. The other part is electronics. Electronics have transformed the way we live, the way we work. It has helped us a lot. But electronic in itself, better the ones we have today, are not reusing the materials that we have used to produce them. Rather, we are using fresh, new materials. And this too has to change. The amount of waste that electronics in 2021, about 57.4 million tons of waste was generated from use of electronics. I'll put on these figures now so you have an idea in your head when you are using electronics and how you use them. So I just keep going. I think my time is 23 minutes. So what do we need to do? New products must be used, recycled, and use the recycled content as much as possible. We must make deliberate effort to end the planned obsolescence, where we produce materials that are not built to last. We must think about end of use of products as we collect them, as we buy them. So when you are buying something, think about the end life of that material. How long will it take for this material to degrade? Do I need it? We need to reduce at source. That's the first thing. And reducing at source is also commensurate with our level of consumption. How much do we want it? We buy stuff that we don't need to impress people that are not even looking at us. We start thinking about changing our mindset. So the opportunities that are available in especially plastic and electronics. How many of us have visited this metal scrap market? The scrap market. What do you see those guys doing? They are either breaking electronics, removing the copper wire, or the carbon to use in other materials, right? So these people have become the informal sector. Imagine if these people we are calling Boko Haram are not in the today. What will be the state of your community you are living in? Imagine those guys don't come and pick those metal scraps, those deaths around. And that's what they do it, but the majority of them have helped our city in a way or the other to make sure we are. Our metal scraps are recycled. Our cartons are recycled. It will shock you that those cartons that they pick, the cars that you drive, the bumper, those cartons are what they used to make them. The plastic bottles that they pick, our jerseys that we wear, is what they used to make them. So the more you get to think about the whole product and the whole cycle, the better for us. So there are opportunities that are available for us, which we can tap into. And this we share with us to look at later. The basic part of it, we need to have a lifestyle change. It's the first and it's the fundamental one. Until this begins to happen, things will not change drastically. The first time I went to Vienna, I bought just one card. It was €1 card they gave to me that I used for the whole day. €1 card, €1. I could use that €1 card to enter a tram, to enter a bus, to enter a train, to enter any piece of transportation. €1 per day. So if I know this is there, why would I drive the car? I won't waste my time. So we begin to think as young people, how can we help the Nigerian system to begin to change this whole process from the lifestyle change? When you are going out, for example, do you always to drive your car? Can't you take a public bus? Some people say it's not safe. Where is safe? So we need to think about all of this. So the opportunities are available for us. And one, they've always said about skill acquisition. Skill acquisition. I like it, it's beautiful. But today, what sells are the soft skills. And it's high time young people start embracing those soft skills. You don't buy them in the market. It's not what you can learn in one beauty salon or one photographer shop. Soft skills are the power and the future of Nigeria and our world today. We need to start learning them. For the circular economy to work, there needs to be reskilling. There needs to be retraining of workers who will be deprived of or taking their job taken off of their hands. We need to be thinking about how we can help this system to retrain those people to fit it back in the economy. Young people, they have opportunity. Renewable energy is there. We are clamoring that the West send us finance because they are committed enough to help us transit. But if they transit or we are transiting, who are the workforce that will be able to produce these renewable energy materials in Africa? Young people, we need to start rethinking what we study in school. The idea of I'm going to study medicine, I'm going to study, why are you studying? Is it relevant to the economy of today? Is it relevant to the circular economy that we want to build? It's time to start rethinking all of this. You see this picture right there? I'll tell you a story of that guy. It's an opportunity I want us to see and embrace. It's a guy from Togo who lives in France. You see those clothes? They are working car. He comes to Africa, to Togo, to Ghana, to buy these clothes that was sent from Europe. He takes it back to Europe, repackages it, and sells it back to Europeans. His brand today is massive. This did not happen overnight. It came from a place of thinking. That's the guy right there. I can't read all of this, but that is an opportunity that he embraced. And there are several opportunities available to us. We don't always have to think about the white collar. There are many things around us. In this system, opportunities, plenty. The area we start thinking, the better for us. So the summary is, being an economic model has not done us good, it has done more evil than normal. Secular economic is a model we should embrace. The transformation that we seek to happen must be just, and social equity must be placed on premium. If you take time and look at the potentials in this model and adopt it. I will say thank you very much for this time, and I end my presentation here. Thank you very much.
Please let's a round of applause for him once again. Please let's celebrate him. Thank you very much. That's a high opening from Mr. Babawale. The co-host tell that story. So I'm sure we all learned a whole lot of things, and he was giving a whole lot of exposition about the effect of our activities on our environment that we are possibly not been taking note of, and also what we can do to prevent it, considering the future. All right, thank you very much. So briefly, before the next person come up, I want to recognize this great personality. So we have with us Dr. Paul Orabat. So please let's celebrate him. He's there with us. Thank you very much, sir. And we also have with us Engineer Murray Abenka. Please let's celebrate him too. He's the permanent secretary at Edo State Electricity Regulatory Commission. Please let's celebrate him. Thank you very much for joining us. And we also have with us Kadi Elizabeth, Desk Officer for Climate Change, Ministry of Communication and Orientation. Please a round of applause for her. Thank you very much for joining us. So before we move on to the next speaker to come forward and talk to us, we'd like to have Sherifat Onuse for a poetry. So she has a poetry for us. Please let's put our hands together for Sherifat. A round of applause for her. She comes to the podium. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Faith. So as she said, my name is Sherry Patrick, and I'll be reading out a poem titled Our Environment, Our Future. Once upon a time, all that was in the earth was splendor and beauty. The sun was refreshing and ever radiant, and the skies were ever blue. Sadly, humans have now covered Earth's wall in green, stripping her beauty of her and making her filthy. The sun is not always seen, and when it is, it is rather flagrant. And the sky, heartbreaking as it is, as heartbreaking as it may be, has lost its hue. Mother Earth weeps, but her tears are in vain. The people who caused her ruin seek only their gain. We've ignored her for a long enough time. How she's been treated is not short of a crime. Her health means our life. Our future hangs in the balance. And if we continue to poison her with pollution, we might as well break her for her vengeance. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So that's a good one from Sherifat, and she said we should not poison our environment. Okay, so right about now we're going to be making welcome another special speaker that will be taking us on developing youth leadership capacity for environmental governance through local climate smart solutions. So please, a round of applause as we make welcome Barrister Shima Williams, Executive Director of Environmental Rights Action. And he also won the 2022 Gold Mine Environmental Prize Award for Africa. Please let's put our hands together to make welcome Barrister Shima for his presentation. Please put those hands together for him as he comes forward. Thank you very much. So he won the 2022 Gold Mine Environmental Prize Award in the whole of Africa. So we are the privilege to have him with us today to talk about how we can build capacity towards taking action for the environment. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator, and my colleagues, my brothers and sisters, my comrades, my friends. For us, this is one of the greatest opportunities that we have to talk to ourselves, especially as young men and women, because the program that we are doing here is still part of the celebration of the International Youth Day. And because some of us started as young people, we are always excited when we have opportunities to speak to young people, because if we get it right at the early stage of our life, we will always have it right till the end. That if we miss the steps at the early stages of our lives, we see that when we start growing up, we start struggling. And this is why this is a great privilege and opportunity for us. Especially, I am called to talk on something that has to do with youth development, environmental governance, and of course, local climate smart solution. First is that I will let you understand that there is something called Student Environmental Assembly Nigeria, ZEVI for short. Is something that Nigeria has transported to the whole of the world. It is the first student-oriented environmental justice movement from Nigerian campuses that other African countries are emulating, and I am privileged to be the one that started this way back in 1998 in the 20th. And I am very, very happy to announce to you that the last speaker before me, Baba Wale, helped to grow that platform in the University of Benin. And we have in this hall today with me, the second national coordinator of that great organization from when he was in Delta State University, Abuja. Comrade Kubre Marere. And of course, one of our own that most of you know, Kingsley Ichilse, was the first national coordinator after me as the founder, the son of the child. So why am I saying this? Because I am talking to young people. And some of you are undergraduates, and some of you are graduates. In situations like this, it's discussion because we are talking to ourselves. So I don't have any slide to present, so don't look out for anyone. It's going to be interactive. Stop me, ask questions, make comments. That is how we learn. Here there is no teacher. I am not your teacher. You are not my teacher. So we are all learning from each other. So when we want to talk about youth leadership, development of youth leadership capacity, can I develop your own capacity if I don't have the capacity myself? Can I give what I don't have? So it has to do with our individual and collective ability to determine what is needed and what is not needed. Because capacity is all about knowing what to do at the right time, at the right space. You saw how Baba Wale took you through, the secular economy, looking at the various strands. And what was his conclusion? His conclusion was that the whole world, through secular economy, is trying to come back to where Africa started. And they said that we are not doing well. They want to refine. That everything is still coming back to where Africa started and where Africa was many, many years ago. So, who is now the one that has capacity? Can we answer that?
Africa.
So, the capacity resides in Africa. And this is why when we want to look at terms and terminologies, for some of us that engages with everybody, we engage with Europeans, Americans, Africans, Asians, everybody at different levels, at different capacities, at different, platforms. We maintain, don't buy in time. Sing, line, hook, and sinker. There is nothing like that. There is no one fixed solution to any issue. There is not. Yes, look at what is global, then drop it down to local. Because every solution resides in the local. We ask, what has this got to do with leadership? As a youth, even when you are looking up to that leader that you have identified as a great leader, there is no leader without faults. So look at every person and take the positive qualities you identify. That is the negative ones. Now develop your own positive to add the one that you have learned from the others. You become a greater leader. And it is always our own desire that those that we mentor will be better than us. I tell my colleague who is here with me, Barrister Joseph Aledu of Shima Williams and Associates, look, my friend, you have to be better than me. Okay? And how can you be better than me? You can only be better than me if he takes the positives that is in me and add his own positives. Okay? But if he wants to be like me, he can never be like me. It's not possible. Because it means that you will inculcate in yourself, the good, the bad, and the ugly qualities in me, which I don't like. I don't want you to do that. Remove the bad and the ugly qualities in you. Take only the good one. That is the only way we can grow in society. We can grow ourselves as individuals. We can grow our nation. Okay? So, then, how do we develop our leadership qualities as individuals? Self-examination. In our year one philosophy class, we were taught that Immanuel Kant, the great philosopher, he said, the unexamined life is not worth living. Okay? So it is a simple thing. It looks very casual. But if you analyze it deeply, you will understand and appreciate that Immanuel Kant wants you to examine yourself. Look at what you are doing. Are they the right things? The Honorable Commissioner asked the question, how many times have you looked at, the things that you're using, how you dispose of them? How do you create that environment that allows for cleanliness as it used to be in the pools? That is what is asked. That is the examination of life. To examine, what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? And leadership, okay, is something that, as I started with, you cannot give what you don't have. So, for you to be a leader means that another step is that you will always think ahead of your peers. Two of us cannot be thinking the same way. We have the same answer. and then I will claim to be your leader or you will claim to be my leader. It's not possible. I must have done something that you have not done for me to call myself your leader and for me to accept it. It is common sense. So, which means, as a young person, for you to claim to be a leader of your peers and they will listen to you, you have to tell them something that they are not aware of. Something that they will learn from you. And how can you get that? By being ahead in terms of schooling yourself. It's not everything that we learn from our offices or from classrooms. Or some things we learn from interaction. Not even in the books we read. From interaction, who do you interact with? Who talks to you? Who do you engage? Who do you ask questions from? And the type of answers that you get when you ask such questions. These are things that set you apart. So, if we want to look at issues of environment in Edo State, for instance, those of us that are in this hall, we are enough in numbers, in intellectual capacity, in ability to change the environmental narratives of the states. We are more than enough. Because change does not happen with crowd. Go and check history all over the world. Change does not happen with the crowd. Change comes through a single initiative that is sold to many people, and because of the way it is presented, people buy into it and work with it. Two things: buying into it and working with it. Because you may believe it, you may like it, but if you don't walk the talk, there will be no action. And if there is no action, there will be no change. Because it is action that brings about change. And action will only happen when there is belief and acceptance. So, that is about leadership. How we can develop our leadership potentials by empowering ourselves individually and collectively. Does anybody have any question for me? Thank you, my brother. Please, can you give me the word?
You said the one can make comment. What is that want to do? I'm talking about the area of the leadership. I want to combine it with the biological one called the eco-stat. You have the biotic factors and you have biotic factors. Now, for my own, I live in an area where flood-inundated areas. And people do ask, why did you decide to stay in this kind of area? And I've done a lot of documentary whenever it's rain season. And sometimes I go to Secretariat to take that into security. Because these things they affect humans. Whenever I bring you cannot have access to that place. Yes. And thank God for this opportunity. I have a very big friend here, Ken, who I happened to work with some time ago. And this needs, we have to bring it to them. If they can at least help out. Because in that area, you have the boat about not more than 500 meters away. And you can channel this flood into that water and the boat will take it to a barrier. Right from Okola junction down. You get it now. But the way that place is being attended to. That is why, if I'm beginning to look at the solution, that's what I'm always thinking of every time. Though people in that area do not think about it. So it's a comment. It's a very comment. It's a very comment. Because when he was talking, he said we can make comment. I'm very conscious of what I said. Okay. You are right. My name is Comrade Abdulkarim Marusai. I'm the Executive Director of Foundation for Civilized Society. So we are here today as leaders, we can also bring feedback, kind of feedback to the environment, Ministry of Environment, so that they will be aware that there's such a place, like the area very close to Benin, also anti-malaria area. So they can come there. What we don't need is that drainage. Just help us take it. We don't need much work down to that mode. And we ensure that that drainage is maintained from time to time. So that is just what I want to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, my comrade. This is an open opportunity. And I think connected advocacy that assembled, this package of events consciously did that. And of course, this is an opportunity for engagement. And I know that people from the Ministry of Environment are still here. The Honorable Commissioner will come back. Then, of course, people are taking notes. So, feel free. Look, I tell people, don't ever think that what you're going to say is nonsense. Because actually there is something like nonsense. If you remove the none, what do you get? So in that, will it still be nonsense? So say your own as a IT. You don't know where solution will come from. Assuming Honorable Commissioner was here present when he made this presentation now, I am sure he would have noted it and they would have engaged further. And that would have meant that the idea behind this event by connected advocacy is successful. Because we are gathering to find solutions to our problems, not to celebrate it. Is it not? We are not problem celebrators. We are solution providers. And however we get it done, so long as we do it within the ambit of the law, we are happy about that. So, now, that takes me to environmental governance. And the issue that my comrade raised is in the realm of environmental governance issue. Desertification, drought, and we're talking about climate. Okay? We are talking about climate change. In some years past, if you mention climate change, people don't understand what you're talking about. I know that the biggest discussion on climate impact started from the civil society. And that was in 2008. Then, when we were talking about climate change, people did not understand what we were saying. And I remember, if you go to the archives, I granted an interview in 2008 when I described what climate impact that will happen in Nigeria and across the world. And in 2012, that prediction came to pass 100% because even the most unlikely places, as I said it there, first, carried people in the north, where people have to climb on top of trees to seek for refuge against flooding impact. In 2012, in this country, Edo State, many communities were driven away. In Delta, the same, and across. So it didn't happen only within the Niger Delta where the platform is below sea level. And then we can say that ocean activities can easily happen in the Niger Delta zone belt because of its topographical location. But what was the situation up north? Where people never believed that they could be flooded like that. And that's the thing, it's still happening. And now it is going all over the world, all the hurricanes, all the tsunamis, everything. Even in China, as we speak today, there is flood that has carried away in China. with all their advanced technology that they import to us, that they sell to us, they are not able, to stop the fury of Mother Nature when it is unleashed. America suffered, the wildfires and the rest of them. Nobody was able. So it goes beyond the technology that advanced countries of the world talks to us about. What are the real solutions? The real solutions reside with us. Can we look back? Because if you do not look back, if you don't have the benefits of yesterday, you cannot accurately determine what will happen today and project into what will happen tomorrow. It's not possible. So the combination of yesterday, today, and tomorrow gives you a little bit of a credible solution to issues. Because you do the analysis, what was it like yesterday? Okay? So what do we carry from yesterday to today? And then what can we project from today to tomorrow? Those type of analysis is what will help us in terms of developing a matrix that will help us build for a sustainable future. Otherwise, we'll be going around the circle and be making the same old mistake. My brothers and sisters, can you be doing the same thing, the same way, all over? And then if you are expecting a different kind of result, are you reasonably expecting that there will be a different kind of result?
I need somebody to answer it.
No. So, if you want to get a different result from what you had yesterday, okay, means that you must look at what did I do right yesterday and what did I do wrong yesterday. Eliminate the wrong ones and carry over the right ones and then ask, how do I improve on this? Because it is the improvement that the new dimension that you will bring into it, which is the same way with governance issues. Are you saying the linkage? Am I talking in parables or in riddles? Now, in environmental governance, you must look at, sorry that, our honorable commissioner is not here, but I know that his representatives are still here. One of the challenges we have is that we copy concepts, terminology, sustainable development. What is sustainable development? As Babawale mentioned, what is called sustainable development in America, is it the same thing as what we call sustainable development in Nigeria? It can never be the same. Because the environment, the climate, the situation, everything is different. So you cannot carry their concept and dump it here and think it will fly. It will not. Okay? I had the opportunity to talk with the biggest champions of sustainable development, and I asked a simple question. Now, you talk about sustainable development. Niger Delta is heavily polluted. So what do you want us to sustain here in terms of the development? It was a scary question that nobody had answers to. So do you want to sustain the pollution in the Niger Delta? So what type of development? For us in the Niger Delta, before you begin to talk about sustainable development in the Niger Delta, you talk about cleaning up of the Niger Delta. When you clean up the place, you can now begin to see what you can sustain. Don't tell us about sustainable development when you are the one that is polluting our environment and then you are importing to us sustainable development. What nonsense are you talking about? And then we are jumping on top of it. And that is why it doesn't work. Let us be honest with ourselves. So when we take policies in environmental governance, for some of us, we have tried to look inward and look at what are the practices that can help us. Let's leave big grammar. Let's leave voluminous text. Let's design things that are workable, that are easily discernible, that are easily understandable, that we can easily interpret to our people and they will understand it. Because if you do not understand the concept, even no matter the quantity of laws that are made, or the quality of the laws that are made, or how sweet, the content of those laws are, if it does not apply to our everyday existential situation, it is very difficult for people to buy into it. And that is why, we have so many laws that are called by us as lawyers dead laws, because those are laws in the textbooks and they are all in the shelves. Nobody uses them. And they are laws that are living laws, that are used and applied to everyday life and is used every day. So, in environmental governance, all we need to do is to look at what is it that is within our surroundings that our people understand, that we can easily tell our people, do this, do this, do this, do that, to protect the environment, drawing from what is known already. Because, see, there is nothing that any of us can teach our older generation people. The only thing that will teach them is, like Baba Wale has said, when you buy your electronics, you insure the classes. Can you imagine that? Whereas the one they use, their fathers bought for them, is still there. Yes, thank you. Okay, thank you very much. So I'll round up. Now, this brought me to climate smart solution. There is nothing like climate smart solution, my brother. There is none. But I am happy that it is qualified. Local. Okay? I have searched the dictionary to see what is climate smart solution. And I didn't find anyone. Sorry. I don't know. My lady, Prince, I don't know if you found one. On the definition of climate smart solution. The result. You can only see for climate solution, smart, And I am happy that, we have personalized it, that we can define it in our own way. Local. And that local means, what can me and you, as young people, as people resident in a those states, okay, what are the smart solutions that we can develop to help secure the climate? That is the way I will look at it. Because climate change, I have defined to be a product of local action that has global impact. That's my definition. I defined that. Okay? So, because there are several definitions, across. And I know that Baba Wale has his own definition, Ubejo has his own definition, Joseph has his own definition, and all of us here, if you ask my ED, he will have his own definition too. Apart from the one that IPCC, will define and the rest of them, which is supposed to be the one that is accepted because the UN system definition. But taking it down to local, it just simply means what can we do within our local environment to ensure that our actions and inactions does not impact the environment negatively, because we cannot talk about climate change or climate issues without talking about the environment. So this is the nexus between the three key issues that are embedded in my discussion with you. Leadership, environmental governance, smart climate solutions, local. So what do we do? As actors, I enjoy you to take from the admonitions that were offered by the Honorable Commissioner for Environment, on things that we can do as part of our contribution to the protection of the Edo State environment. Because charity, they say, begins where? So, how do you dispose of your waste in your house? Do you bring them and throw them out into the streets? Do you carry them to the roadside to dump? Or do you throw them into the gutters? Or do you gather them and make sure that the waste pickers? Because I say this everywhere in this country, we don't have waste managers. There is none. There is none. We don't have waste managers. So anybody that talks about waste managers, you are either not telling the truth or you don't understand the concept. Okay? What we have are waste pickers. And I would have enjoyed our director of waste management to redefine so that Edo State takes the lead. It's not just Edo State, no, all over Nigeria. All over Nigeria, we don't have waste managers. What is waste management? Part of component of waste management is what Madawale has taught us here. Okay, nuclear economy, where there is nothing that is actually waste. Everything is reusable in one way or the other. So if we have waste managers, we won't have waste incinerators in Edo State. Because when you incinerate, are you not wasting more? Because you are creating environmental havoc, you are creating health hazards. And then you are equally still losing. Because those things that you burn off in incinerators, are things that will be sorted out and utilized in other processes that will provide job opportunities. Support the local economy, reduce crime, and make our environment cleaner, safer, and healthier. So I on this note, I want to stop here and then take questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, does anyone have a question? Okay. Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you, comrade, for the family life presentation. Just like I said, father and child talking outside. So thank you very much for attending. We just want to entertain just 2 questions. Or if you have other questions, you just write it. Okay, I'm having 3 questions. And there is our first presentation. I don't know if you have any questions to that. Okay, can we just write down our questions? And just leave it so that we just call it, so that we can save time. Because we still have 2 other presentations and we don't have time. Please just write your question. While he's writing the question, can we welcome our MC back?
Okay, thank you. So while we're waiting for the question, please let's welcome Oluwafemi for a short presentation. Please, a round of applause for Oluwafemi and come on stage. Okay, thank you very much. Please let's put our hands together for him.
Also, your question for Baba, please just put that. Indicate the person you want to answer. They don't have time. Let's make it snappy. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Oluwafemi. I have a presentation to make. I know we've been sitting for a while, and I want us to just stand up. It's time to shake our voice. Can we just rise up? So, if you listen to most of the presentations we've been having, it's all about you taking your own place in climate action. And I think it is time for us to pledge that we are going to play our part. So the song is very simple. We are going to do the song together. I'm not here to sing for you. We are doing it together. So if you know you are going to be a climate activist, advocate, and you're going to take action, you will join me to say, I will play my part. Someone is not here. I will play my part. I will play my part. Face your neighbor, say, sure you will play your part. Oh, daddy was saying, we will play our part. We will play our part. Now say, together, we save our world. We save our world. Yes, we are singing together actually. This is time for us to relax ourselves, please. Okay, no problem. Let's just do it together. So we know the lyrics is as simple as ABC. I go play my part. She go play your part. We go play our part. Together we save our world. Okay, so let me quickly just okay. So don't mind, you can dance to it and let's do it together. Okay. So I'll teach us and we'll take it together. We'll take it together. So if you know how to dance, this is the time to dance. I go play my part. She go play your part. We play my part. Yes, we change our world. I go play my part. She go play your part. We go play our part. Together we change our world. Can I just say, play your part? Say you go play your part. Together we go. Together we go change our world. We go play our part. We go play our part. Okay. We go play our part. Together we go change our world. I go play my part. See you go play your part. Together play our part. Together we change our world. Let me open the mic. I think it's in my phone. Okay, now we go now. I go play my part. Say you go play your part. Together we go play our part. Together we go play our part. I go play my part. Say you go play your part. We go play our part. Together we go play our world. Okay, 1, 2, 3, go. Every day and night we dey hear the story. Say, daughter don dey block you. Say, flood don full every area. Even the cars where we dey drive, we go dey swim for water. For our own GRA for Benin. Kilo ṣẹlẹ̀ gangan. I go play my part. We go play our part. We go play our part. Together we go change our world. I go play my part. You go play your part. On the boss now. We go play our part. Together we go change our world. Again, I go play my part. Say you go play your part. We go play our part. Together we go change our world. Every day, every time, I figure economy. But now it's time for us to think a basakula, right? Let us save everything we do. No be save we use it and don't. It's time for us to think recycle. Now we can save our world together. I go play my band, yeah? Say you go play your band. I go play my band. Together we go save our world. I go play my band. Say you go play your band. Say we go play our band. Together we go save our world. I go play my band. You go play my band. Say you go play your band. We go play our band. Together we go save our world. I go play my band. We go play our band. We go play our band. Together we go save our world. I go play my band. I don't know follow them to cut the tree. If I want one, I go plant it too. Every day I let tree go and forestate you. I go play my band. We go play our band. We go play our band. Together we go save our world. I go play my band. You go play your band. We go play our band. Together we go save our world. I play my band. Thank you. Say you go play your band. We go play our band. Together we go save our world. Thank you. God bless.
Wow, that's a good one. Please, let's put our hands together again for Lua Femi. I will play my part. Shall you will play your own part? I mean, I don't need to talk now. Okay, well, we all play our part because when we put our hands together with our collaborative effort, we are going to change our world. So thank you very much, Lua Femi, for that. Our questions ready. Okay. Okay, yes, thank you very much. Please just put your questions together. Then during the panel session, we are going to do justice to your questions. But right about now, we still have someone that's going to be presenting. We're going to be hearing from Mr. Odion Ogebuja from Edo State Electricity Regulatory Commission. So let's put our hands together for him as he comes forward for a presentation representing the Edo State Electricity Regulatory Commission. So please let's celebrate Mr. Odion Ogebuja for the presentation. Please put your hands together for him. Put those hands together for him. Thank you very much. He's coming. So from the Edo State Electricity Regulatory Commission.
Permit me to stand on the already established protocol. My name is Odion Ogebuja. I'll be doing a presentation on just transition, renewable energy innovation opportunity for youth. Green jobs. Well, I think it would be good for us to have a review or remind ourselves of what renewable energy is and the various sources or types of renewable energy, because we were talking about just transition, we were looking at or focusing on renewable energy innovations or technologies that will actually provide job opportunities for youth. So on the slide, we'll see that we'll define renewable energy as natural sources of energy that are replenished as they are as they are used up. So examples of renewable energy include the hydropower, the solar, the wind, the geothermal, the ocean, the bioenergy like the biomass, and then the green hydrogen. Well, the green hydrogen actually represents or stands for the hydrogen fuel, but I specifically and intentionally picked the green hydrogen because it's actually the production of the green hydrogen actually emits zero CO2, so is 100% clean. We have other types of hydrogen fuel like the blue, the green, the green, the black, depending on what was used to produce the hydrogen fuel. I think that was actually the color that is used for it. So why renewable energy? Everybody's talking about climate change. What's actually responsible for it? Well, it could be greenhouse gases. Then it could also be other industrial waste or outcome of industrial processes. So why is the world talking about climate change and why the Paris Agreement? Well, the Paris Agreement is a legal treaty which by parties of all treaties. And what they seek to achieve, they are trying to ensure that the global warming is kept below 2 degrees Celsius, or on the average by 2030, it should be 1.5. Nothing above that. And other sectors include that 27% of all the energy that is going to be consumed should be from renewable sources. And another one is the reduction of emission of greenhouse gases to 40% by 2030 and to at least 50% by 2050. So, the green jobs or renewable energy jobs. The Paris Agreement, as agreed upon during the first presentation in 2015, seek to bring on board renewable sources, seek to bring on board technologies or innovations that will help the world generate renewable energies like the hydrogen fuel, the green hydrogen I just mentioned, and adopt other renewable energy sources like the hydropower, the wind, and the ocean, the solar. So, from estimates, it is estimated that by 2050, this sector of the economy will create about 26 million jobs globally. We are dealing with global figures for the now because the world is actually a global village as we know it. You can be in Nigeria and work anywhere in the world remotely. So that's why we're focusing on the global figure for the now. Currently, it is estimated that this industry creates about 18 million jobs. So if we evolve by adopting or coming up with innovations and technologies that helps achieve this Paris Agreement, we are going to generate 26 million jobs by 2050. But if we continue with this conventional way of using fossil fuel, we are going to generate about we are going to generate 21 million jobs by that's the sector now will generate 21 million jobs by 2050. Meaning that if we evolve and adopt technologies that help meet these Paris Agreement, we are going to create additional 5 million jobs on the average, and that's on the minimum we create that. So by estimates, it is estimated that the renewable energy alone will create between 1.4 to 1.5 billion jobs by 2030. So let's have a review of jobs created by renewable energy over the years from 2012 to 2020. The job created grew from 7.3 million to 12 million. Even during the COVID-19 era, when industries were when industry actually experienced the highest unemployment level, as they relieve their workers of their jobs, the renewable energy was actually booming. We could see that on the average was adding 500,000 jobs per year. So what was the forecast? A lot of persons are arguing that, oh, if we evolve and adopt these renewable energy sources, we are going to relieve people of jobs, meaning people are going to be out of their job. Take for instance, the refiners that refine oil, they no longer refine crude oil. What will happen to their workers? Definitely, they are going to relieve them of their job. So it's going to lead to job loss, economic crash, and blah blah. But the truth be told, if the renewable energy, this Paris Agreement is achieved, if we come up with technologies, innovations to help achieve this Paris Agreement, we are going to create more jobs. On the forecast, we'll see that it has already been told that about 5 million jobs will be created. But how are these jobs going to be created? What area, which sectors of the renewable energy are we going to have these jobs created, and are we going to also have job losses? If you can, as you can see on the slide, the critical mining sector is forecast to grow by 0.2 million, while the innovative technologies will grow by 0.9, the end use renewable energy by 1 million, bioenergy 1.2, the grid system will grow by by 1.6. The EV, that's electric cars, will grow by 2.6 million. The power generation will grow by 2.6, while energy efficiency will grow by 3.2 million. On the contrary, job loss for the oil and gas sector is forecast to be around 6,000 jobs. For coal, about 6,000 jobs. For oil and gas, about 2.1 million. About 2.1 million. So, if we do the mathematics, we'll see that over 3 million jobs will be created. That's, you have, if you do the math, subtract what is going to be created from what is going to be lost, you see that you have an excess of over 3 million jobs. So the renewable energy, adopting the renewable energy and helping to trying to meet the Paris Agreement, which seeks to reduce the global warming and the average degree Celsius of the world, will actually help create jobs. So on the screen is a list of green jobs that have been picked. These were carefully considered, and according to Business Insider, they are considered the fastest growing, or to be the fastest growing sectors That's the number one there is the solar photovoltaic installers. We are going to experience a growth of about 12.1% between 2020 to 2030, followed by the software developers. We are moving from the conventional grid system to smart grid, then the industrial machineries. So you can go through that on the slide. Sorry, I'm just trying to rush so that I'll meet up with the time limit to me. So, Edo State's energy sector, we have to tell our children that when it comes to data, the country as a whole and the state is still lagging behind related to the Western world. Our markets and industries are not well organized, don't have data on them. As it stands, Edo State does not even know the energy requirements. We don't know the total amount of energy that we need. Although we propose that an energy audit be carried out so that we determine what we need, what we currently have, and what we require to meet what we need so that it won't be in line. But that is under consideration. So, but I think everyone that lives in Edo State will agree with me that the power sector or the energy sector in Edo State has a lot of opportunities. There are a lot of opportunities for investors to come in and still make profit from establishing their business or businesses in Edo State. We are talking about renewable energy. Currently, what Edo State, the energy sector of Edo State, especially the power sector, still rely on fossil fuel to generate electricity, power that we commonly use. But we're trying to change that narrative by also going into renewable energy, but into renewable energy, focusing on the solar because that's where we actually have the high potential. In terms of wind, Edo State has low potential to generate electricity through wind. Then for hydropower, Edo State also have limited potentials, but for solar, it seems like we have more, as in the potential for generating energy through the solar technology is very high, and that's why we have don't focus our attention on resources and developing some solar farms in Edo State, like we have in Adibado. Then there is a current proposal to most of our primary STF centers using solar energy. Then we also have solar powered traffic lights, so that dependence on the national grid and the normal power generated through fossil fuel will be reduced, so that at least our dependence on fossil fuel will be reduced. Then what steps are we taking to empower the youth? We've been working and we're still working with Edo Jobs, and Edo Jobs is also working in collaboration with other NGOs to ensure that our youth are trained. In 2018, Edo Jobs trained youth on solar panel installations and maintenance. In 2019, they also did so, I think in July of 2019. Recently, they also trained, that's, I think 23rd of June to 1st of July 2022, they also trained youth on solar panel installation while doing all this, because we know that renewable energy is actually a way out of job crisis, is a way out of the global change that everyone is talking about, and it's also a way of engaging our youth to help them make good use of their time and their life. And all this training comes at zero cost to the youth. With this, I think I will bring my presentation to an end.
Thank you very much, Mr. Odion Ogemudia. Thank you very much for that presentation. Please, let's celebrate him, please. Thank you. Round of applause for him. Thank you. Yes, we're sorry, we are pressed for time, so we have to rush that. But before we move on to the next presentation, let's quickly welcome Esther for a poetry. Esther, please. Then while we wait for, please don't go, because we have another amazing session that's coming immediately after this poetry presentation, and to be on recycling, how we can, our practical session on plastic reuse, recycling opportunity for youth. So a lot of things we need to learn around recycling. Please also just keep on writing your questions. If you have questions, please put it together, then you'll get your questions and proceed from there. So are you ready? Okay, thank you. So please, a round of applause for Esther. Yes, Esther over there. She's really passionate about a lot of things. Okay.
Thank you so much, everyone. Good afternoon. I have poetry.
Give her your
Now, why? I'll be present. I'm Esther, I'm presenting a poetry of I. Now, climate change is frightening. So to save the planet, let us start recycling. Fossil fuels are burning. One day, this world will stop burning. Fire, hurricanes, flood, and droughts. We need to sort this out. The earth is melting. We are not helping. The earth is crumbling. The earth is grumbling. This planet is yours. This planet is mine. You need to think twice. You need to think right. Solar panel on your rooftops, or you grow your own crops. These are sustainable ways we can save the world. Electric cars on the streets, second-hand shoes on your feet. These are sustainable ways they can save the world. This problem is changeable. Everyone is capable. I hope this poem is persuadable. And I hope this poem is inspirational to make this planet more sustainable. Because nothing is unchangeable. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Esther. Please, a round of applause for Esther. That's a good one. Nothing is unchangeable, so it means we can change it if we really want to. Now, right about now, I'm going to make it welcome a very special person for another amazing presentation, and she's going to be talking to us in practical session, giving us a practical session on plastic reuse, recycling opportunity for youth in Edo State. Please, let's put our hands together as we make welcome Mrs. Edith Iyalome, the Project Manager, Circular Economy for Natural Eco Capital. Please celebrate her as she comes forward. Thank you very much. We are happy to have you. Thank you.
It is. There's a pointer. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I want to do the observe all protocols, and it's a pleasure to be here today to speak on plastic recycling. I've been told my time is about 10 minutes, so I'm going to go straight to just run through briefly some slides and go straight to the practical section on plastic recycling. And I think it's going to be like experience sharing to know that the act of plastic recycling is workable, and especially in Edo State. All right. I'll outline or have a brief introduction to look at some facts about plastics and what it entails, consumption and production pattern that runs along the line of linear economy and circular economy, plastic recycling, the business opportunity, the plastic value chain, and the example. These are some statistics that talks about global plastics, what is happening also in Nigeria. Like we've seen in this slide, the global plastic industry generates about 6,000 million USD annually. And the global production volume is about 35 million metric tons. This actually gives us some light on what the space of plastic and recycling actually entails. Now, the Food and Beverage Recycling Alliance estimated the volume of plastic production in Nigeria is about 150 metric tons annually, and this represents about 0.04% of global statistics. We also have another research by NIGERIAN that estimates 2.5 million tons of plastic waste has been generated annually, and over 200 metric tons from land-based eventually ends up in the ocean. That's a tragic end of plastics. Why is this? Plastic has a wide application, so it's found almost everywhere in everything because of its wide application. You find it in transportation like vehicles, you find it in construction, healthcare, packaging, food product, telecommunication, and consumer goods. And we have these been run through over 16 years. What is the challenge? The challenge about plastic is actually the way we consume and the way we produce it. And that brings up the concept of the linear economy. The other presenter has done so well in trying to explain to us about the linear economy and the circular economy. What's actually the linear economy? Just take an example with the plastic water bottle that we take. Plastic is manufactured from crude oil, and we're talking about climate change here, right? And oil and gas is actually one of the sectors listed in the NDC, Nigeria Determined Contribution, as one of the areas Nigerian government is going to look at in reducing climate change, the temperature. And recently, waste has also been added to that. Now, plastic, like I just told you, is mostly, there are other sources anyway, but majority is manufactured from oil and gas, crude oil. And when you are doing that, you are actually producing so much CO2 in terms of exportation, processing, production, transportation. Now, when you do that, you get bottle from there, right? After getting this bottle, the water manufacturing company or the beverage company like Coca-Cola, they come there and they fill it with the content, maybe Coke or Fanta. Then what do? They bring it to us. of water in Aquafina from Messi. After consuming, what do? Mostly, you throw it away. That's what the linear economy. I would say that this is causing so much challenge in the environment. These are some of the things we have said. I'm not going to go through that much, but just to know that we have a lot of plastic that is being produced. We have a lot that is turned into waste, and there are predictions by the UN that about 12 billion tons of plastic will be dumped into landfill, and this will eventually link into the water, the ocean. By 2050, we are going to have more plastics in the ocean than we actually have fishes. What do we do? Plastic waste management. The other time, one of the speakers came up and mentioned something about not having waste managers, because the different steps to actually properly manage the waste is not just considered. What we actually do most time is to collect this waste and dump it somewhere else. And the other thing like treatment and other things is not considered. The useful resources, they are not considered. Now we have mentioned that plastic has a wide range of applications, that's why it's being used. But what do? We have to weigh the environmental and social benefits. Fine and good, plastic has done so much for us in terms of comfort, in terms of so many things, but we need to weigh the social benefit, the environmental benefit, we weigh everything together, and the problem is costly, and do something about the problem. And what is that problem? How is the approach? This takes us now to the circular economy. What is the gospel of the circular economy? We are just saying that after consuming that example I gave to you, like a Coke or so, don't throw the bottle away. For example, I'm using plastic as an example. Don't throw that bottle away, but return it into usefulness. And we have useful purpose for them actually, and that's why this recycling is actually coming up as part of the topic today. Now, in circular economy, the goal we are saying is that don't view that plastic waste you want to discard as waste. Please look at it as a resource and prevent the throwaway habit. Waste material is processed and turned into secondary raw material for industrial nutrients. For example, that PET bottles can actually be crushed, and the crushed flakes can be turned into t-shirts. Like the other speaker said something about jersey being made from recycled bottles. Now, apart from the end, because we are looking at, say, the bottle like the end, now we can also look at circular economy at the point of design. You know that it's not all the things that are recyclable. Let me use the word. For example, the single-use plastics. They are single-use because they don't have the capacity or the ability to be recycled. But what do? The circular economy extends to that when you are designing a product, design in such a way that first, it is durable. Not just one thing, just use and throw away. But another thing is design toxic substance out of it. So substances are not recyclable because they contain toxic materials. So the design aspect is one of the issues that we look at circular economy. When you actually look at circular economy approach, you look at three things. The upstream, which has to do with the design, the midstream, which has to do with how often, what the durability. Then you look at the end, that's the downstream. Just to make us to know that. Okay, I have talked about this. That's just a graphic of the linear economic traits. Like you have your linear equation for those of us that did science. Then you have the circular economy, just going in circle. You collect after using, like you collect bottles, you sort into the different materials, you reuse, maybe the bottle can be reused for Zobo drink and other, or recycle by crushing into PET, then you put another product. Now, ways to cut the grain volume of plastic. Yes, change in product design. I talked about that when I mentioned something about the upstream. That's at the point of design to make it simpler. Then improve our waste management system by facilitating higher waste collection. Okay, we should collect the waste and collect the recyclable separately. We'll come to that. Then clean up and remediation activities. For example, one of the speakers was talking about the Niger Delta region and was talking about clean up, remediation, and all that. Yes, the environment has been heavily polluted. What do we do to that? We have to clean up. And if you go to the beaches, one of the things you are going to see there are lots of plastics. So these are the ways to curb the volume of growing plastic waste. Now I'm going to bring us into one aspect we are going to consider, which is recycling. Recycling is one of the most important actions currently available to reduce plastic waste. And the industry is growing. It provides opportunities to reduce oil usage. Remember, we said most plastic is produced from crude oil, carbon dioxide emissions, and the quantity of waste required for disposal. Now that too, the oil usage and carbon emission of carbon actually helps to reduce the emission of CO2, which is one of the greenhouse gases when we do recycling. Then waste requiring disposal helps to actually elongate the lifespan of our landfill. And one of the problems that Edo State have is not having a sufficient landfill to dispose of collected waste. If we learn to remove our plastic from the waste stream, that can actually reduce the volume of waste that is going into the dump site. Still on recycling, yes, there are advances in recycling system. We have manual, it has actually gone ahead to sorting and all that. We'll just, okay, there are things, before we go into the proper practical, there are certain things that we should note concerning plastic waste recycling. One thing we should know that not all plastics are recyclable. You cannot recycle all plastics because either, like we said, a single use is not fit for the purpose, or it could just be because of the composition. For example, PVC contains the chloride. PVC actually polyvinyl chloride. It contains salt that chloride group could be discovered to recycle and all that. So not all plastic can be recycled. That's one thing that we should take note of. Another thing to know is that we have not all plastic are the same. We have actually different types of plastics. They have a way they classify it, and we have basically 7 types of plastic. You have the first one, which has it's called PET. That PET is actually polyethylene terephthalate. Then you have a second one, that's the HDPE, high density polyethylene. I don't want to bug you with all those chemicals, especially if you are not a science student. But the first thing, how do you identify plastic? You have your bottles here, you can just turn on that. You will see a triangle sign that like an arrow. And you see a number there. Bottle you use to turn it, you are going to see 1. That plastic belongs to plastic type 1, which is called PET, polyethylene terephthalate. Your chair, just turn the chair, anything, just turn it. You will see the number written there. That tells you the type of plastic you are collecting. This is very important in case you are going to go into plastic collection. It helps you to differentiate the type of plastic you are buying. So you don't want to buy one, I think you are going to sell. And they are not the same price. Some of them are actually higher in terms of volume. Alright. I feel you should just know that. And okay, just for an example, that not all plastic is recycling, you can recycle. Like coffee cups, those coffee cups you can't recycle them. The reason is because they are multi-layered and some of the materials they use are not actually plastic. So it is difficult. You have to separate into the different components before you can use it to maintain the integrity of the product you are recycling into. Okay, what are some of the business opportunities that you can actually, be involved in? We're looking at leadership, we're looking at governance. And one of the things that actually can make it to stand out is the ability to identify a problem and give solution to that problem. And the truth is that when you are providing solutions to that problem, you are gaining something from it. You are giving yourself employment. On the Youth International Day for 2020, the occasion I went through, and they have this increment of employment. The statistic they gave from the National Bureau of Statistics gave that it has increased from about 29 to 24%. And even unemployment is about, for unemployed is about 11 million or something like that. But there are ways you can actually, get something doing for yourself and you become an employer. And one of the things you can look at is actually this plastic recycling thing. Let us look at the value chain of plastic and see where we can actually take opportunity and have something doing for ourselves. One of them is storage. Storage. What do we do? Most of us at home, we don't actually have proper storage facility. Yes, proper storage facility. And we are the best way to actually, or the most effective way to start good waste management, proper waste management, is source segregation. You must separate the different waste at the source into the different components, or the waste streams that you have. What we practice mostly is commingling. And even that commingling, we don't still have a facility to store them very well. You can take opportunity of this and start doing, and maybe I want to do paper bin bag, I want to go into waste bin containers. They will patronize you. It's just for you to do some market feasibility and see how you go about it. So these are opportunities. And like I said, the most effective way for good waste management is source segregation. That cannot be debated. The other one is collection services. Yes, you can start collecting. Start collecting. You may not have the truck, but from the truck is one of the things, or the vehicles you can use. There are so many innovations. Innovation on collection. The cat push, the tricycles, and all that are things that can help you to go into collection at low cost for a start. Now we can go into processing of value addition, whereby you process the plastic bottles into something like PET flakes, nylon, pellets, and all that. Then from there we have another opportunity in conversion. That's actually transforming the processed plastic into new products. And there's another area again, they call it chemical pyrolysis. That's the way you use, there are two types. The chemical one is you can actually break down that plastic into its constituent components. And you can turn that into different chemicals that you can use for industry and others. But apart from that, pyrolysis, you can actually generate energy from plastics. There are machineries and all that they use for that. Then, disposal management. Okay, maybe you are interested, somebody interested in having individual, I know they have a lot of individual on sites, we should be looking at monthly and all that. Yeah, you can actually still offer such services after doing the statutory requirements. Then another key area is awareness and education. We are talking about change, and that change is lifestyle. But people will not just change, they need to be sensitized. They need to be aware. And that's an area youth can actually go into, and they offer services. We have bodies like in Lagos and all that this is just what they are doing, advocacy. You understand? And they are getting so many grants. I wonder we should know that the plastic industry has a lot of opening in terms of uniting opportunity. Just for you to do a lot of packaging and be able to do something, do a lot of packaging, and you'll be able to attract such funding to yourself. Okay, those are the opportunities. Then now that comes to the practical example, like I was introduced, I'm the project manager circular economy for Natural Eco Capital. A natural eco-capital have a facility we call Eco Waste to Wealth. What we do there is we preach the gospel of circular economy. We tell people that don't waste that, it can be made into something else. Don't think that thing is a waste, it's not waste, it's a resource that can be converted into something useful. It can be introduced into the production system, the production line for other products as it suits you. There are so many things you can actually convert to depending on the market you have for it. And by doing this too, we are reducing the volume of waste that are going into the landfill. The process stage we have is in two phases. Phase 1 is waste aggregation and processing into flakes, while the other phase 2 is conversion. And these are the targets and incentive, youth empowerment and training, reduce natural resource consumption and save energy through waste recycling, clean and healthy environment, reduction in crime rate, because when you have something doing, you will not be interested in dubious means of getting money. The promotion of SDG at 1, 8, 11, 12, and 13, where we look at slow waste, climate action, we look at poverty reduction, sustainable consumption, and production. These are the process. Stage 1, we collect plastics. You can use this type of like their nets. So we work with waste pickers, and not just waste pickers. You can actually go into this thing. You know, education helps you to package your things very well. It doesn't mean you have to go to the door. There is a way you can do it, you know, position yourself, identify sources like event centers, official government offices and all that, and just attach yourself. We'll be collecting the bottles and all that, and you bring to us. We have a price and pay packaging for those bottles. Now we go into processing. In the processing, the first thing we do is to separate. Like you see this bottle, the bottle has a cover, it has a label, and it has the bottle itself. Those things, they are not the same type of plastic. The cover is mostly PE, that's polyethylene. Then the bottle itself is PET. They don't behave the same way because they are not in the same family. I just put it like that. Then we have this is the crusher. It crushes this bottle after it has been separated into PET flakes. They will now package into a standard bag. There's somebody coming to check on the product so they can pick up from us. In our production, these are examples of the products that we have. The up one is dirty PET or wash PET that they get mostly from the dump site. Then the one under is the clean PET that they get from water companies and all that. That's all people that blow bottles that have not been introduced into the consumption market. Then this is the machine we use, and these are the bagging processes. Now, what we did was this: in order to improve or to support local technology, we actually started with locally fabricated machine. This machine is fabricated here in Nigeria, and because that motor I think was imported. Every other thing is locally fabricated, made here in Nigeria. This is just to promote global technology because we still have to have some confidence in our people. These are our impacts. You can see, with these we create green jobs. We employ female and male to work with us in our facility. And we create room for economic empowerment of women and youth who are coming in here to sell their bottles to us. After it is being scaled, we pay for it. Yes, a part of our impact is capacity building of the youth. Before we started this project, we trained about 300 persons here in the state to develop their capacity on collection and aggregation of plastic waste. area, we'll just mention something about awareness. These are the young people coming to visit the site, to visit the facility, to see, to catch them young and locate the habits of recycling in them. Our center has become a learning site for opportunities in waste business. This picture you see here is the Youth Day 2021, where you have an NGO or Genius Hub coming to visit the facility with some youth to see the opportunity in waste management and see how they can actually still do something in that area. Okay, we're talking about capacity building. I want to thank you for listening to our presentation. And if there's any question, just do it. But then, before we go into questions, let me just quickly take that we have this project that actually attracted some award. We are awarded as one of the entrepreneurs for African Digital program in France by the French Embassy in 2020. Then we also recently have been nominated as a regional champion for the South regional political zone in Nigeria. And we have a drama series actually ongoing every Wednesday by 11:30 to 12. At Speech FM 96.9. There is a drama series on plastic recycling. So you can actually look at that. And this project, the Old Class project, actually offers us opportunity to work with the youth. And I think it would be good to see one or four of us actually engage in that. Thank you very much. So I'll take the questions.
Thank you. Please, let's say a big thank you to Mrs. Edith. Just write down your question, please. Okay, please write down your question, then you can give us. Thank you very much. So thank you for opening eyes to know that you can actually pick cans, don't throw them away and make money from. Oh, but that part. I think I made that part. Okay, I did. Yes, nice. I mean, to the girl can make so much money. And she also told us that there's a lot of opportunity right now around climate change. So if you're doing projects around, if you get involved, a lot of persons are waiting to give grants and all of that. So it's better to actually get involved in this, and I'm sure she's still here. So just put down your questions, give it to us, then we get to ask to be able to answer some few questions about that. But before that, in our previous lecture, so I'm going to be making welcome someone to give us to answer questions for us for our previous session. But before then, I want to recognize Mrs. Blessing Igareva. She's the Director, Climate Change Unit in the Department of Environmental Quality Management Services. Please put your hands together for Mrs. Blessing Igareva. Thank you very much for joining us, ma'am. And also, I'll make welcome right now Mr. Kenneth Walian is the Head, Climate Change Unit in the Department of Environmental Quality Management Services. EQMS. So please let's put our hands together for him. He's going to come forward and answer our questions before we have further talk from our guests as well. So please let's celebrate Mr. Kenneth Walian. Thank you very much, sir. He's the Head Climate Change Unit.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much. Taking time and taking us. I'll just permit me to recognize Dr. Roberto from the Department Program, University of King. Thank you very much. Yes. I also want to thank Mr. Ivo Venosa, the Senior Director in the Senior Officer in the Commission Management Unit. Minister of Environment. Well, thank you. Please, Staff Lamiro, there's many officers here. Our statistician is around. Was around us. So I want to thank all of you. If I didn't mention the KTBC Director, thank you very much. I thank all the officers. Those who have stayed all through. Now the questions go like this. I'm taking turn by turn. But the first one, one said, how do we properly dispose plastics that cannot be recycled? This question is linked to you. What about metals, metal waste? How do we dispose them? Please, take that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, for the single-use plastic, the best way to go about it for now is to actually take them into what they call energy recovery. That's going to pyrolysis or just thermal applications. They can actually transform it. But one thing they can do to it is to heat it up and turn it into energy. That's what we call energy recovery. It's done in a facility that you control the temperature. You know, the other time they mentioned something about incineration. Incinerator burns and emits into the air. But in energy recovery, you don't allow those things to go. What you do is you have they have like a technique they use to now convert it into energy. That's the best thing to go for now. Then the other one is metal. Metal is actually what you don't actually can dispose it. You keep recycling and all that. That's a good thing about metals.
Now, this question is to you, but it's not, you said it here now. You said the location, it's another question. You said the location of the industry you mentioned. You want to partner with the collaboration. So you said you mentioned the location. Where is it?
Thank you very much for that partnership. We are located at a production center, that's the magistrate after Centennial Market along the Sapler Road. Just walk in and just mention Echo Whisper where we show you our facility. Thank you.
I think this one should go to our department. I think they are all listening. He said, aside from disposing our waste properly, what else can we do as individuals to ensure climate justice? I think that one is a simple. Apart from disposing your waste properly, so what else? There's a lot of things you can do now to ensure climate justice. You have to. But you're not using it, don't open it before you use it. If you're going to use it, before you open it. Don't waste water. Any of you left your home today, that's what the commissioner was saying this morning. Don't do it into contribution. And the other man, the other gentleman, the activist, Mr. Chima, what did he say? Start locally. I don't have time. My presentation, I'm not going to do presentation because there's no time. I just want everybody to go on time. But there's some certain things I will mention. Did you switch off your lights before coming here today? You see security lights of most homes. Keep on. This is afternoon. Go around some houses in the beginning. You see that security light is still on. You are burning energy, you are not using it. You switch it off. That is the act of that is climate activism. You want to help. Your phone machine is still running as we are talking now. You get to that top. Switch it on. When it's doing something, it's going to switch it on. Simple things. You say you dispose your waste properly. You deceive your drains around you. You organize the use around your premises to deceive the drain. This is so very important. You clear your premises around. Most of you don't even do those things we usually do when we are young. Okay. How clean is your environment? Those are the things the commissioner will just mention today. Have you ever planted a tree? Who has ever planted a tree here? Let's be frank with ourselves. Truth to ourselves. Have you ever planted a tree? Thank you. That's one. That's another person at the back. Try and plant a tree, please. I beg you. Very important. You say you are a climate activist, try and do it. It's very critical. Thank you. Let me check your rounds. This one I don't really understand, but I'm not doing it. This isn't there. And we'll try and see. Violet. He said in our street, you don't win by a rule. whether it's still part of the city, that revenue staff come there to collect their revenue, but the road is abandoned. So I would like to see you so that you write to the ministry, or you will tell you where to write to. When you write, our engineers usually go there to inspect and check. They will not place it on priority. That's why I say there are some rules. So then you see government trying those rules. Some people say it's political influence. It's not that. Somebody wrote to it. Put it up. Went as far as making sure that that road is placed in priority list. Or whatever is going to cause erosion, or whatever in your area, anything you are facing. Right. I'm telling you the truth. We have staffs, they all respond. They say, people are lying to you. They usually respond. That is just the truth. So please take the pains of writing and take the pains as well of taking those staffs when they visit your area, take them around. And I'm telling you, they will be responsible. I think that is all in terms of question. Where is the moderator? Are we rounding up now? The chief organizer of this occasion said I shouldn't just close it abruptly. I should use like 5 minutes to make some mention some part of my presentation. Even though it's slightly not open, there's what we call climate smart approach. How many of you have heard about greenhouse? Have you heard about it before? Now, yesterday's day, it's so boring now. Yesterday's day, a farmer in Kwara State, and he's suffering from the issues of climate change. Lost. Can you bring it up? Please continue. I want to just bring that part of my slide. Let me just explain what if I presented to cassava farmers and they started disturbing me every day, calling me over and over. So that's what I wanted to present to you. What exactly the human being just did. We decided to do it as the last part so that you will have I don't know how to put it. You will think of it to be part of it. Let me tell you something. The environmental aspect of the society is very large. There's so much opportunities. People don't know. Except you tell them. You have to enlighten them. So let's go now. I don't know when you see all this one, you think of all those gadgets. No. People are doing what they call climate smart activity unknowingly. They are practicing it now. The all greenhouse gas, we all know these ones are now. Go down. You see flooding? What is happening? Concrete jungle. What I would call concrete. You know what I mean by concrete jungle? That's what's affecting Lagos. Nowhere for the flood to regulate. Everybody is using what? Interlocking tile on his compound. Nobody's grassing again. Nobody's planting trees. Nobody's planting flowers. What do? Just floor your compound. And also, there was a time he went on a research in GRA. The whole street, there was no house that had grass. They all covered. As the head of pollution control in the ministry, Mr. Ego. He went on field. He said, we all go on field. He said, don't sit in the office. In the street, all the houses covered. I don't think I have a problem with planning. Nowhere to regulate. It was always flooded. That's why you are seeing all this kind of heavy storm. Look at those houses. You know, people plan to build their house in a deep flood like that. Scroll it down, please. Scroll down. The objective of smart climate agriculture. Scroll down, I have to be fast, there's no time. There's something I want to show you. Scroll down. It's a pity I can't stop. Go down. Okay, this is the impact of climate change on agriculture. Why we have to go into smart climate agriculture? But we cannot go into that now because of time. Scroll down. So the impact of climate change over the years, we pray this graph is not real. We're able to reverse it by the grace of God, by our strength. But we shouldn't pray and not act. Is that clear? You have to act. Go down. Okay, go down again. Yes. Now, only this. Yes, there. Yes. Okay, this is the main issue here. These are suggestible, practicable solutions. I've even practiced it, me standing before you. I've seen people practicing. Somebody, when I gave that last presentation to cassava farmers, most of them went to practice it. They started calling me. I even visited some of them in their farms. They practiced it. So I didn't want to bring up an argument with Dr. Chima, because he mentioned that they are saying smart. We are practicing smart climate smart agriculture unknowingly. I'm telling you the truth. Some farmers have already designed way to survive. Are you getting it? You see, whenever you are pressed to the wall, you must find a way out as human beings. That is what is happening now. Some farmers are already looking for ways to survive. In Nigeria here, not abroad. I'm just telling you the truth. Now look at it. Intercropping legumes using row or ridges. 200 centimeter apart. They are doing it now. They are doing it. You have heard of it in secondary school days in agri, but people are practicing it now. In a rainfall management, farm ponds are created. Somebody did in this Benin, a farmer here. What happened? He placed it too because of lack of space. What did he do? He saw that his farm was always flooded. What did he created what they call farm ponds. So when there's flood, the pond takes the water. When it's dry season, what does it do? It uses the water from that pond to do what? Irrigation. So automatically it's a highly smart activity. It thinks. It thought ahead. So it's the only one still using that area. The rest farmers are run away. They are looking for upland to use. And it's getting good yield. Now look at the other one. He said a mixture of genotype species, our ATP. They have it too. They are getting it for IITA. It is in Edo State. Don't think it's in abroad or whatever. Climate resilient plants, seeds, they have it there. Go and meet them, they will give you. Look at the other one, conservation and culture. When you farm, the farm says that prevent losses of valuable land. That is, generates degraded land. It involves the maintenance of permanent cover soil. That is, the diversified plant species. Now look at this again, the greenhouse farm, this is the main one. The greenhouse farm is one of the several climate smart models being practiced by some Nigerian farmers. Nigerian farmers, not abroad, in Nigeria here. Look at what is happening here. He said, in order to mitigate the devastating impact of climate change on food. What is that one? What is that last one there? Hydroponic farming. I'm going to be surprised. It's in the city here. There's a farm in Bypass. They are practicing it. In Benin City here, you have a higher, it's what they call soilless agriculture. You don't use soil. I use coconut husk. That's soil for the plant. They will grow very well. They will get all the nutrients and you will have higher yield in a very small enclosure. It's existing though. Look at it. What did he say here? It is also several climate smart models of agriculture, which crops are usually grown without soil, using water-based mineral. Soilless farming. How many of you have heard of soilless farming before? Farming without soil is existing. There's a farm in Benin here. I want to mention that farm. They are using it now. So it's not something, it's not a space something. People are doing it. That's why I saw that I'm interacting with the youth. That's why I'm telling you that this thing exists. The next slide, please. Yes. Look at what he said here. Pictures are to show greenhouse farming and sandbag farming. Eh? This greenhouse, let me tell you what they do. Now, if you have a greenhouse farm in your backyard, there are some steps you have to take. You have to train the person that you use to do it. The yield is 3 times the big land. Please don't wait. I don't come here, I come here to tell you facts. Now, this farm you are seeing, the soil, what do you do? You heat it to kill the pathogens. You mix it with manure. And back and put on this rubber bag. You till it up. You are going to control the amount of nutrients it gets. You are going to control the temperature. You are going to control why. Why can you control it? Because what? It is here. It's in a greenhouse. Go and Google it. It's there. The farmer, they interviewed the farmer yesterday, prime time newspaper. He said because he was losing the yield in Kwara State, specifically. He now turned to this greenhouse. The yield is now much. And the shelf life of the produce is longer. The same thing goes for this sandbag, this bag farming. So, but the woman was doing it in Abuja. They showed it on the NTA. You see the yield, you'll be so shocked. These are smart climate agriculture, easily practicable. Not the one. I know some of you saw the drone picture. I know your mindset with computer. No, but we are not yet there. So let's not deceive ourselves. There's a guy in my office. He's a computer freak. He likes computer. They will say, I said, no, don't put it. Because let's deal with the one we have now. This one is here. We have not even done. How many of you have done this? Let's be frank with ourselves. Have you ever heard of this one? Have you done it? Is it coming? Is it common? No. It's not common. It's when you see these things are spread, then you now move to the next one. Is that not so? This one, let's do it this one first before we now go to the next one. Is that not so? So what I'm saying here is that let's do the one that is practicable. Products from greenhouse house are often healthier and more durable compared to the open field cultivation. And that's what is happening now in Nigeria. Because the population is increasing. There's nothing anybody can do. The Sahel region is the drought is getting closer, it's coming south. That's why the herdsmen are moving southwards. And what happened? They will start fighting for what? Land. That's why they are clashing it. That's why you're hearing herdsmen. That is the issue. It's climate change. I mentioned in one of the programs that was organized before. The reaction was, everybody's so bitter about it. I know I'm protecting herdsmen. There are criminals among them, but that is why they are moving their cattle southwards. So, in a nutshell, on the next slide, please. Let's be fast. Now, this is a hydroponic system. This one is happening in the farm in bypass. What is happening? What do you do? Having the right set of base resources, which you tell the plants, then in climate condition among other variables. What is happening there is that you mix everything in the proportion you want. You start pumping it. I know the cat is capital intensive, but when it starts producing, it takes years, far longer than a normal farm. Is that clear? Please, I have to be very fast. Let's move on, please. So this is a practicable conservation farming. Is you mix. This one is just simple. You just plant trees in your farm. You not create a microclimate around your farm. That is wind destroying your farm, flood destroying your farm to reduce. You mix your farm with forest, plant trees around it. Then secondly, there's what they call mixed farming. That is, if you are producing crops, you produce the waste from the crops used to mulch for nutrients. Then the waste from the animal husbandry, from your poultry, you do what they call compost for manure. And you bring it back. Slow down. So these are the different integrated crop rice crops I just told you just now. Agroforestry. Then the last one, gender. Very important. Let's not forget women. In the fight against climate change, let's not put women behind. They are very important. Because in the food processing, women are very frying of garri. Who does it? Women. Majority men do fry garri, but women are more involved. Is it at home? Is it at home? The women. So most carry women along. But when it comes to fighting of climate change, women are very important. Fast forward. So where can you get information? So then look at all the places you can get information from. Is that clear? Please look at it. There's what they call WNO. You also get information from emails on weather patterns. If you know it's going to fall tomorrow, there's a place in the website you go to and it will tell you whether the rain will fall tomorrow. It's there. You have emails, you have scroll down, just let me see. You have ITA, International Tropical Agriculture. This place, please visit their website every time. If you have any issues with crops, go down, agreement and all. Then finally, look at it. Hydrological, hydrometeorological, IITA is very important. We are talking about climate smart agriculture. Very critical. They will tell you anything, any crop, just go to their website. They are there for you. Then finally, the last slide. Yes, we are grateful to Connected Advocacy, the organizers of this workshop, the audience, including the state government that provided venue and support for this program. It is one of its kind. Thank you so much, and God bless you all. Yes, question. Let's have it on.
On behalf of everyone, I know most of us are tired, but
Questions, you write your
we
questions.
always see it. And if you have more questions, just send your questions to info@connectedadvocacy.org.ng. info@connectedadvocacy.org.ng to reach us, and we will also have some of this material shared to you. So, thank you for the time you've taken to be here, and we really appreciate you. And I understand, I hope, that your time invested here today was not a waste, isn't it? Yeah. So downstairs, we cannot bring your refreshment here. Downstairs is refreshment at the restaurant downstairs. So just first floor downstairs. So can still get your question from me. Can we have a closing prayer? Closing prayers, please. Somebody that is in the spirit, pray for us. Yes.
Lord, we thank you for your faithfulness and Father. We thank you for all the lectures of today. We ask, O God, to help us every fellow to implement all we've been taught in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Lord, even as we go, your praise go with us. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.